Breaking news, Florida facing a double threat right now, right in the middle of this deadly pandemic. A hurricane is moving in. As we come on the air, Hurricane Isaias is edging toward the coast, strengthening overnight, in fact, packing winds of 85 miles an hour.
The Category 1 storm battering the Bahamas all through the night, lashing the islands with powerful winds that toppled trees and ripped apart roofs, as well as pounding rain that flooded roads.
Isaias has already caused widespread flooding and small landslides in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, where at least 2 people were killed. Our Rob Marciano is in Miami with the very latest on the storm track. Rob, good morning to you.
Good morning. Hard to believe just 1 week ago today, last Saturday, we were bracing for Hurricane Hannah on another red zone coronavirus hotspot on the coast of Texas. And now we've got a storm that has strength nearly the size and strength of Hannah, which has already ripped through Puerto Rico and other islands that are still recovering from recent hurricanes.
Overnight, Hurricane Isaias slamming the Caribbean and moving toward the east coast of the U.S. The hurricane battering the Bahamas, packing powerful winds over 80 miles per hour, heavy rain, and dangerous storm surge. The storm also hitting the Turks and Caicos. And in Puerto Rico, Isaias damaging homes and knocking out power for thousands, leaving neighborhoods across the island underwater, flash floods and mudslides through the streets. The National Guard saving children, including this newborn caught in the floodwaters in Mayaguez. In the Dominican Republic, the storm turning deadly, killing 2, including a 5-year-old boy. The hurricane gaining strength, now taking aim at the epicenter for coronavirus cases, Florida.
They just signed an executive order to declare a state of emergency in every coastal county up Florida's east coast.
Florida residents racing to prepare by stocking up and boarding up. Americans up and down the East Coast preparing for Isaias in the midst of a global pandemic. North Carolina declaring a state of emergency, prompting evacuations. But most shelters remaining closed due to the virus. The coming storm also forcing coronavirus testing sites in the storm's path to close down.
Our sites, because they're outdoors with tents, if it were to get 40, 50 mile an hour winds, it would just collapse.
I suppose if there's any sort of good news is that because of the pandemic, there are a lot fewer people that would normally be here. Not many tourists on South Beach the last few days, last few months, as a matter of fact. All right, let's talk about where the center of this thing is, about 200 miles to our south and east and heading in this direction. So we're starting to feel the effects of it later on this afternoon. It's south of Nassau in the Bahamas by about 80 miles. A Category 1 storm forecast to stay that way as it approaches the south coast of Florida, abreast of Miami later on today and tonight, then getting up towards West Palm Beach, and then eventually through the Space Coast, maybe making landfall, maybe staying offshore. It's going to be dangerously close. We will feel the impacts. And then into the Carolinas, looks like Monday, Tuesday, potentially even clipping parts of New England Tuesday night into Wednesday. So everybody going to get a piece of this, but Florida will feel the brunt of it. Here's what one of our computer models shows as far as the impacts go. 2 to 4 inches of rain down here. Winds 50 to 80 miles per hour. We'll see some storm surge also, but rainfall and wind up and down the east coast of Florida. It's going to be a long couple of days.
Hurricane Isaias forms in the Atlantic. Isaias, the 9th named storm system of the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season, strengthened into a hurricane on Friday. Isaias, the 9th named storm system of the busy 2020 hurricane season, strengthened into a hurricane early Friday morning, according to the National Hurricane Center. The storm, which battered parts of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic on Thursday, was expected to travel up the eastern coast of Florida and continue north, potentially bringing heavy winds, rain and flash flooding, according to the center. On Friday morning, Isaias was southeast of the Bahamas and moving northwest at 17 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 80 miles per hour. The storm was lashing the southeastern Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos Islands with strong winds and heavy squalls, the center said. Isaias was expected to produce flash flooding and mudslides across the Dominican Republic, northern Haiti, and Turks and Caicos, the center added, and hurricane conditions were expected over portions of the Bahamas on Friday. The center forecast that the storm would near southeast South Florida on Friday night through Saturday. A hurricane warning was issued for the northwestern Bahamas, and tropical storm conditions were possible for the east coast of Florida on Saturday. The center said there were risks from winds, heavy rainfall and storm surge late this weekend on the northeastern Florida coast and northward along the East Coast through early next week. The entire U.S. East Coast should monitor Isaias, the center said. On Wednesday, the Florida Division of Emergency Management announced that all state-sponsored coronavirus testing sites would close at 5 p.m. Thursday. The department later said that state-sponsored sites in 11 counties would remain open. The other sites would be closed until it was safe to reopen, which is expected to be no later than 8 a.m. Wednesday, according to a statement. All sites have freestanding structures including tents and other equipment, which cannot withstand tropical storm force winds, and could cause damage to people and property if not secured, the statement said. As the storm passes through the state, testing sites will reopen on a rolling basis, and symptomatic Floridians were encouraged to pick up a self-swab test from any of the testing sites. On Wednesday alone, Florida reported more than 9,400 new coronavirus cases and 216 deaths. There have been more than 461,000 cases of coronavirus and more than 6,500 deaths since the beginning of the pandemic in the state, a New York Times database shows. Emergency managers this year have been wary of what might happen if a major hurricane strikes during the coronavirus pandemic. Evacuation orders often put people in close contact with one another in shelters, which would make maintaining social distancing and other safety measures against the virus difficult to maintain. Over the weekend, officials in Hawaii worried that space at shelters could be limited because of social distancing policies if Hurricane Douglas hit the islands grimly. The American Red Cross also faced obstacles recruiting volunteers to run the state's shelters because of anxieties surrounding exposure to the coronavirus. Last week, Hanna hit the southern coastal region of Texas as a Category 1 hurricane, taking aim at some of the same communities that have seen a sudden spike in COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations. As the storm neared the coast, the mayor of Corpus Christi urged people who had taken in relatives to wear masks in their homes. San Antonio opened a reception center for people who had fled their homes, where officials handed out vouchers for hotel rooms. The Atlantic hurricane season, which runs from June 1 through November 30, has been a busy one. The first tropical storm was Arthur, which formed off the coast of Florida in May, followed by Bertha, which made landfall near Charleston, South Carolina, later that month. The systems made 2020 the sixth year in a row that a storm developed before the official start of the season. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration predicted an above-normal Atlantic hurricane season, with as many as 19 named storms, of which 6 to 10 could become hurricanes, and 3 to 6 of those could develop into Category 3, 4 or 5 hurricanes. An average hurricane season usually produces 12 named storms, with 6 becoming hurricanes and 3 of those 6 developing into major hurricanes. An analysis of observational data of satellite images since 1979 by researchers suggests that climate change is making hurricanes stronger and more destructive. Johnny Diaz contributed, reporting from NewYorkTimes.com.
Versant Power prepares for tropical storm. Customers are reminded to be prepared for the potential of power outages. August 5, 2020 at 12:06 a.m. 2020 vertical bar updated, 17 hours ago. With a tropical storm bearing down on the Northeast, the Versant Power team is preparing for any impacts across northern and eastern Maine. With rain and high winds in the forecast, motorists are asked to be particularly mindful of any trees and tree branches on roadways, pooling of water on the road, and the potential for downed power lines, said Kevin Gendreau, Versant Power Storm Manager. Drivers also are urged to slow down or move over and change lanes, when possible, if approaching utility crews working on roadways, to ensure everyone's safety. Versant Power will have extra crews on standby Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning, and is positioning crews to address any downed trees and tree branches throughout the service territory. The public is reminded to stay away from downed lines and report them to local authorities and Versant Power. Never touch a downed power line or a tree in contact with a downed power line, and never drive over one. Customers are reminded to be prepared for the potential of power outages. If you use a generator, follow the manufacturer's guidelines at all times. Keep flashlights with fresh batteries for all home occupants. Keep a battery-operated radio with fresh batteries handy. If you are not connected to a public water supply, make sure you have a supply of clean water available. Keep some easy-to-make non-perishable food items in your home. Customers may report outages. Get the latest outage information and view our live outage and restoration map at versantpower.com. Outages also can be reported by calling our customer contact center at 1-855-363-7211 or 207-973-2000. Follow us on Twitter, at Versant Power. Versant Power, formerly known as Remain, is committed to delivering safe, reliable electric service. As the state's second largest electric utility, the company delivers electricity to more than 159,000 residential, commercial and industrial customers across 10,400 square miles in 5 counties in eastern and northern Maine. According to WECT-TV.com.